Alright y'all, what's up and welcome back to another video. And to celebrate Pride Month, we're going to be reviewing a famously gay horror film, which is the sequel to Nightmare on Elm Street, called Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy's Revenge. And instead of pointing out all these moments, I'm just going to have a sweaty boy counter, because, trust me, there's a lot of them. This movie is known as a sizable downgrade from the first film, but, you know, you can't really beat perfection. So, let's get into it. It starts out with a school bus full of children getting dropped off, and it leaves only two girls and our main character, named Jessie. But things get fishy when the driver misses one of the girls' stops and rushes them into the desert. The grounds opens up, leaving us with what could be a heavy metal album cover, and he starts taunting them. He starts doing some stuff, making fart noises with the freaking, what's it called, like the seats, the bus seats, but right as he goes for the kill, it has a clean cut to tomato slicing and an amazing scream from our May boy Jesse. Then cuts to what looks like a softball game, and Jesse is being a doof and messing up their game. He and this guy named Andrew start getting to a fight, and you see Jesse's butt, and they're forced to do some push-ups because of their tussling, and they start talking and eventually become friends. They're forced to go into the showers to, wash off, and Andrew tells him about the Nancy incident from the first movie. It cuts to a dream of Jesse having where he sees Freddy in the boiler room. Freddy gets freaky and eventually shows Jesse his brain. It then cuts to Jesse where he dozes off in class and a snake crawls around him. Now, I thought that this would just be in the dream, but no, in real life, there's just a snake crawling on him, and it gets him in trouble. Jesse's lover calls him, and his dad tells him to clean his room instead of talking to her, but instead, Jesse puts on some epic shades and gets funky. His mom and Lisa catch him, and Lisa helps him clean. They find Nancy's diary and realize maybe Andrew wasn't lying. It cuts to another dream sequence as his room starts melting. He goes into the boiler room and finds Freddy as he is weirdly trying to get Jesse to kill for him. Alright y'all, I just realized that in this entire video, I've been calling Jesse's friend Andrew when his real name is Grady, and I don't want to change that, his real name's Grady, just so you know. So Grady delivers this golden line.
You remember your dreams? Only the wet ones.
As him and Jesse run track, and afterwards cuts to the house where they address that the AC is broken, which they have been doing a little bit more, in the film. It causes the parakeet to go on a rampage until randomly, spontaneously combusting, and his dad blames it on Jesse, saying that he blew it up with a cherry bomb, and it again cuts to a dream sequence. It cuts to a leather bar, and he orders a drink until the coach sends him to run laps in the gym for some reason, as it gets real rapey. I guess the coach is in a shared dream because it gets real paranormal as well, with a bunch of balls start flying around. He gets tied up. The coach gets tied up and stripped naked, and then gets towel whipped in the funniest scene in the movie, and afterward, the coach finally dies by a basic Freddy slash. But it wasn't Freddy, it was Jesse. So this is getting really weird, because I don't know if this was a dream or it was real life. It might have just been a dream turning into reality, which is just really weird, because Jesse definitely did not stumble upon a random leather bar where his freaking coach was there, but then it turns into real, so I don't really know what's happening. And then the police come pick him up and send him back to his house. And it gets really confusing again, so I'm just not going to worry about it. It's not common knowledge that Coach was slashed up because it was happening at the school whenever all the students know. And Jesse's school experience was short-lived after it cuts back to the bedroom in which the claw glove calls to him inside of his drawer. Jesse and his girl drive over to Freddy's kid-killing spot as Jesse learns of the tragedy. It cuts to what seems like Freddy in a POV walking up to Jesse's little sister's room until he realizes it's actually Jesse, not Freddy. It cuts to a nighttime pool party with all of our lovable scamps invited. Jesse's girl walks into an outdoor garage type thing. I don't really know what it is. Kind of like a greenhouse, but like no plants, and talks to Jesse about his sleeping worries. A real party starts after the parents' lights turn off, and Jesse starts making whoopee and licking this girl's teetees until his tongue goes crazy style. Jesse walks into Grady's room and asks to stay the night with him. He confesses to the coach's murder also. After some pep talk, Grady agrees to help with him. Jesse says that if anything happens and he acts up in his dream, to wake him up. Jesse wakes up and starts freaking out like he said he would, and his hands becomes claws, and Freddy busts out of Jesse's stomach in the coolest transformation scene ever. This is the one cool scene in the film that actually stands a light to the original. Freddy kills Grady and is officially bust into the real world. Jesse transforms back and runs into Sophie, which is his lover. Jesse talks about his murders and how Freddy is inside of him. Pause. And all of the fences and doors locks as Jesse starts to re-become Freddy. A pretty cool chase scene ensues as Lisa struggles with trying to kill Frederick. And Freddy spares Lisa and instead goes for all of the teens at the pool party. He turns to the pool to fire and starts trapping and killing. Some people get trampled and others slashed, and one guy even tries to reason with him. It doesn't go very well for him. And he adopts all of the teens, but before killing any more of them, he just leaves. Lisa goes into a giant boiler room and finds some really realistic mangy mutts from Yokai Watch. Freddy follows her, and after some mindless wandering, Freddy finally catches up. But before he can kill her, he pleads with the inner Jessie. It makes him weak, giving her a chance to run, but after realizing Jessie's in there, she's ready to fight. She keeps pumping up Jessie and puts salt on the wound, gives Fred a big old kiss. Freddy gets set aflame and once more bring our boy Jesse back again out of the ashes, kind of like a phoenix. It cuts to a school bus on a happy day as they brush the tragedies under the rug. Jesse thinks something's up, but as the bus speeds up, it's shown that there's nothing to worry about, until a final jump scare happens in the film, in the epic ending. Alright, so I have some stuff to say about this film. First up, we all knew that it would be nowhere as good as the original film, and it really shows, with this being only 10 minutes less in length than the original. And my original review of it is 15 minutes long, unlike this one, which has been about 6 minutes. Already showing up a big red flag of this film just being like 50% filler. There are some funny parts, like all of the sexual innuendos and all that, which makes it a pretty fun time for your first couple watches, but it really just gets repetitive after a while. All of the kills are just pretty crappy slashes, and the only cool scene, like I said before, is when Freddy gets out of Jesse, which I'm using for the thumbnail. Other than that, it's kind of boring, with some funny jokes sprinkled throughout, but it's just amount of funny jokes as in the first film. And it's pretty hard to compare these two, when, this one's not directed by Wes Craven, but still, I thought they could do better than this, and I've been really disappointed with this movie. I thought it'd be a much more fun ride, but it just really wasn't. Overall, I think this movie is pretty mild at best, and so let's get into the ranking. Alright, so these like 4, boxes are pretty positive, but, I think that the 4 things that I put down, other than the impacts, of course, it is the only things that it actually does good, so it kind of looks better than it actually is. So, the acting is a 75. I think the acting is actually pretty good for the film, and the plot, again, I actually kind of love the plot, and it kind of stands its own against the first film, because it's a great idea for a sequel of having, Freddy, take on one of these children as his, vessel to get into the real world. And sure, I kind of love the pool scene, I love the transformation scene, but overall, it's the only real thing. And the cheesiness is a 90 because, again, all of the gayness in this film was just, hilarious to me. And it just, really makes it stand out. I don't think this film would be talked about at all if that, factor wasn't put in. And as for the impact, it's a 20. I don't feel impacted at all with this film. There's really nothing that I'm getting out of this that much. And, yeah, so the overall is, a 62, and that's me being generous. I really, a 58 would be a 58 to a 62 around that area, but I'm trying to be generous with it. The monster design is, of course, 100. Freddy is just a perfect character design, and overall, I feel kind of disappointed with this film. But I don't really feel, if you're on a time schedule, that you should watch this film. Just skip to Dream Warriors, which is the third film, because I've heard that film is as good as the first film, which I'll be surprised if it is, but I'll review it later on. So yeah, from what I counted, there was a total of 7 sweaty boys in this film. Being a pretty good catch. Like, there's 7 sweaty boys, which I feel like someone, implemented their fetish into there, which is kind of weird. But I just wanted to make a mention of that. And yeah, that's really all I have to say. Thank you for watching. This was a pretty short video because I didn't have much to say about this film. And I'll see you in the next one.